This video is one of the most important I will share with you, as it will begin to expose a large system of corruption, nepotism, and years of influence that help shape the course of events we are living right now. The truth matters to the public, no matter how painful. I'm positive that there are members of Congress who are fully aware of what I am about to share with you, but getting this information out is how we get them to take action. We can all agree that something major occurred at the Capitol on January 6, 2021. But do you understand what really happened behind the scenes, the intelligence failures, and those who are really at fault, and how it could have been prevented? A lot of the evidence has been released via public documents and hearings, but have the dots been connected for you? Can we finally gain a full picture of what can likely be a shocking conclusion? Here, I will attempt to do that for you. On September 28, 2021, the U.S. Senate Joint Committee report faulted the U.S. Capitol Police Intelligence for failing to inform and alert the rest of the U.S. Capitol Police, including Chief Steven Sund, to the events leading up to January 6th, despite having prior knowledge of what was to come. An excerpt from the document states, "The failures and inactions of these two people prior to and on the 6th unquestionably contributed to the death of officers and the serious physical and emotional injury of hundreds of other members of law enforcement. It contributed to the death of citizens and caused harm to the reputation of the Congress, the USCP, and other commanders. Yet, the truth of their performance is not in the command and control report and appears to be of little importance to the congressional community. It is obvious that the congressional community has purposefully failed to provide the truth to the members of the USCP that fought so valiantly to protect them on the 6th. This level of dishonesty must start at the top and taints every level of USCP oversight throughout this Congress." Who are these two people they're referring to? Sean Gallagher, the Capitol Police's acting chief of uniformed operations, and Yogananda Pittman, assistant chief of police for protective and intelligence operations. Part of understanding what happened involves learning how the system works and who owns the responsibilities. This will help us understand who exactly needs to be held accountable for these failures and why. There are so many brave men and women who have served on the U.S. Capitol Police and have fallen victim to the politics involved in the department, which has led to mass resignations, left them afraid to speak out about what they have experienced, how they've been treated, and what they know, until now. In June 2019, Steven Sund was sworn in as the 10th Chief of United States Capitol Police. On January 7, 2021, the day after the events on the Capitol, Nancy Pelosi called for his resignation, and his command ended on January 8th. Yogananda Pittman was sworn in as acting U.S. Capitol Police Chief, the first female and first African American to hold the post. But Yogananda, as chief of the department's Intelligence and Interagency Coordination Division, IICD, was essentially second in command during the events of January 6th. It was her duty to provide early warning intel analysis on threats. In fact, we now know, thanks to bipartisan report cataloging failures ahead of January 6th, that Yogananda Pittman sat on intelligence reports and did not provide them to Chief Sund or the rest of the Capitol Police leadership. Even worse, her assessments prior to the events of January 6th concluded that there was no information on specific disruptions or civil disobedience and declared that actions by individuals or small groups weren't generally broadcast publicly and were impossible to detect. To add to her failures of that day, Pittman was solely responsible for sending a majority of officers that would have been available to help at the Capitol to respond to the pipe bombs placed on the other side of D.C., which left the officers at the Capitol short-staffed to handle what was occurring on that day. Knowing what we know now, and the fact that we saw that the FBI, Secret Service, DOD, HSI, and even President Trump tried to warn about preparedness in advance of that day, why did Yogananda Pittman fail to act on this information? Why did she go as far as to say that there were no possible threats? Why is she not had to answer for these failures? Why was she instead promoted? What else do we know about Yogananda Pittman? Handpicked by Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, in her capacity as acting chief from January 8th to July 23rd, 2021, it was she who was responsible for determining who would receive criminal referrals as a result of their actions on January 6th. For example, when Ray Epps was placed on the most wanted list by the FBI, their next step would be to go to the Capitol Police Chief for guidance. What we know is that Mr. Epps, despite deliberately on camera urging protesters to go into the Capitol and ushering people into the building, disappeared from the FBI's most wanted list very quickly. All footage released of the events on January 6th would run through Yogananda Pittman, which we now know through whistleblowers may have been doctored or altered. We also learned that in February of 2021, due to job performance, the U.S. Capitol Police Union issued an overwhelming 92% no confidence vote for acting Chief Yogananda Pittman. Internal complaints about Yogananda Pittman were referred directly to her. Those that complained were retaliated against and lost their jobs. You can see a letter written here by Tariq Johnson, which I will cover in another video. Is it starting to make sense? Where's Yogananda Pittman today? A congressional panel was notified on May 16th that Yogananda Pittman was granted 5 months of leave without pay after she departed for a new job, making almost $300,000 a year as the new police chief at UC Berkeley. The negotiated agreement would qualify her for pension benefits despite those terms being a violation of department policy. When questioned, new acting Capitol Police Chief J. Thomas Manger told the Committee on House Administration that he negotiated the agreement with Pittman and her attorney and that the U.S. Capitol Police Board was not consulted. Who's protecting Yogananda Pittman? Why has she not been held accountable or investigated for her role in the failures of that day? Was it an intelligence failure or an intentional failure? Why was she promoted and then given preferential treatment? How many officers did Yogananda Pittman fire? How many resigned or retired under her watch? Was this the coup the mainstream media narrated, or a parliamentary coup to lock in an illegally conducted and illegally certified election? I urge you to look further into these massive revelations and share it far and wide before Yogananda is set to retire a pension paid by us, the people she may have directly hurt. Thanks in advance, and thanks for listening.